Damian and Scarlett had always been fascinated by graveyards. They loved exploring the eerie atmosphere and learning about the history of the people who were buried there. So, when they heard about an abandoned cemetery deep in the forest, they couldn't resist the opportunity to explore it. As they entered the cemetery, they were greeted by rows of headstones, each one marking the final resting place of someone long forgotten. They marveled at the eerie beauty of the place, but soon their joy was shattered by the appearance of mythical creatures of skeletons and zombies that rose from the graves. The fear of the dark gripped them, and they realized that they were not alone. Damian and Scarlett tried to escape, but the creatures were everywhere, and they were getting closer and closer. Just when they thought all hope was lost, a mysterious figure appeared, offering to help them escape. The figure told them that the creatures were not real and that they were just manifestations of their fears. They followed the figure, hoping to escape the graveyard, but soon they realized that the figure was leading them into even more danger. The figure revealed itself to be the master of the graveyard, and it had brought them there to play a twisted game. The master told them that they would never leave the graveyard unless they faced their fears head-on. Damian and Scarlett had no choice but to face their fears and battle the mythical creatures. They fought with all their might, but just when they thought they had won, the master revealed one final twist. The creatures were not just manifestations of their fears, but also a test of their bravery and determination. With renewed strength, Damian and Scarlett fought the creatures with everything they had, and finally, they emerged victorious. The master of the graveyard kept its promise and released them from the graveyard. But they never forgot the lessons they learned in the graveyard, and they never forgot the fear of the dark. They were changed forever by their experience, and they would never be the same again. As they made their way back to the safety of civilization, a jump scare startled them, and they realized that they were not out of danger yet. The master of the graveyard was still watching them, and they knew that they would never truly be free. Despite the fear that still lingered, Damian and Scarlett made their way back to their homes, but they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. They tried to ignore it, but soon strange things started happening. They would hear whispers in the dark and see shadows moving in the corners of their eyes. One night, as they were getting ready for bed, they heard a strange noise coming from outside. They cautiously made their way to the window and peered outside. What they saw sent chills down their spine. The master of the graveyard was standing outside their house, a sinister grin on its face. Scarlett and Damian knew that they had to face the master once and for all. They gathered their courage and stepped outside, ready to do battle. The master laughed as they approached, and it revealed that it was not just a master of the graveyard, but also a master of death itself. The battle was intense, and the two friends were pushed to their limits. But finally, with a burst of bravery, they defeated the master and banished it back to the graveyard. But the victory was bittersweet. They had faced their fears and won, but they knew that they would never truly be free of the memories of the graveyard. From that day forward, they made it their mission to warn others of the dangers of the graveyard and the master of death that lurked within. They spread the word, and soon the tale of Damian and Scarlett became known far and wide. They may have faced their fears, but the fear of the dark would never leave them.